Do have 6 o'clock. We'll call this meeting of the finance committee together. If you will, first part of business will be to look at your January 21 minutes. I will state this before we go further. I think the best place to do it would be right here. We need some clarification in our motion that was at the end on the impact fee conversation, to clear that piece up. So before we finalize these minutes, we need to go back and clear that motion up a little bit. I did go back and talk to two originators. Mr. Dennis was the motion, Ms. Atwood was the second to this. And what I believe, if I remember correctly, the goal here is roughly $1,500 currently right now is the impact fee. We had stated that if the impact fee changes or whatever goes on with the impact fees from here on out, that we would like it put into the motion, or into this ordinance, that any amount above, I think that's what this committee was asking for, was any amount above that $1,500 is to go into the 171. Where, just to be really clear, we're gonna put all that in the motion is what that really is for, if that's acceptable by the whole. I will let you restate that motion if that's all right, because it came from, yes, sir.
One thing that, in talking with, Mr. Thomas, he had suggested that maybe instead of a dollar amount, that maybe it'd be done by percentage. I didn't know it. I didn't know if that might be something we would want to consider.
I think personally it will be a lot cleaner and clearer because there's also, I don't like percents on percents. People aren't great with math these days. So there's a percent in there on commercial already, and there may be becoming a percent in the future when they talk on industrial. That was kind of brought up in the conversation the other day at the last work session. I don't know if that's going to come or not to us, but since that's like a percent on percents, I think if I'm getting it correctly here, the cleanest thing is 1,500. Anything in excess goes one way. That clears up. Then there's no math. Here's how much the impact fee was. It was $5,485. 1,500 goes here. The rest goes here. I think that, to me, sounds the clearest that we could possibly do.
And that is for residential, commercial, and industrial.
I was just fixing to get to that next piece. In here, we do not have that. Is that this committee, if I understood it correctly, wanted it for all aspects of the residential, commercial, and industrial building? Part of that. Is that what we're looking for?
Mr. Chairman, my intent for the original motion, was the impact fee as it is $1,500 a piece for those three items. My motion was anything over and above on all three items of what we're using right now to go to our 171 fund for our future projects, capital outlays that are coming down the back.
To be clear, that's what the motion stating is, that for an impact fee, whatever the impact fees are set, industrial, residential, commercial.
You didn't mean to interrupt you, Mr. Chairman. If it increases $25, that $25 goes to 171. If it increases $2,500, the $2,500, the increase, whatever the increase, not if it increases to $2,500. 1,500 of it would still go where it's going, and the $1,000 would go to capital outlays. The increase, whatever that may be,
across the board
for all three items.
I just want to make sure we're all clear on that piece. There were some clarity pieces that came to us. We had a discussion up here, some emails about 2 weeks ago on this piece, just trying to clear this thing up. Just to be clear that what we're saying here in this case, in this motion, we are asking from this, that in the ordinance be included that impact fees, when adjusted, whatever happens. Now, let me restate that part. I don't care if it's when adjusted, it can go on and start now. If there's amount above 1,500, it's there. Impact fees will be distributed. And I think if you say just impact fees, that covers them all.
All impact fees.
All impact fees
All impact
will be
fees.
distributed at $1,500 to general fund and remaining excess to 171 capital outlays.
That was the intent of my original motion.
I felt the same way. That was the intent. We just had to clear up that piece. That was exactly what I thought you were making. Are we good with that?
Second, yes. Still.
All right, so is everybody clear on what we're doing on that part? Restating that motion is really what we're doing, and that'll be corrected in our minutes here, that what we're saying is all impact fees. All impact fees. When collected. Will be dispersed as $1,500 to general fund, as they are now. Any excess will be going to 171. Are we all clear? Any remaining excess, how are we? That about what I'm saying? That is the,
That is absolutely correct. Just
Yeah.
for further clarification, it's, there's other streams that we've not explored yet that nobody wants to explore. And this debt's coming, and this is on the table to be looked at. And if everybody's okay with increasing this fee needs to be coming to take care of the debt that's coming.
Exactly.
I really felt like that was already where we were. We just had to get it clear in here. So motion is all impact fees will be distributed as 1,500 to general service. Any excess, anything above 1,500 is going into 171 capital outlays.
That's
All
my.
clear with that? That's the motion in the second. Does that clear that up enough for you?
Where's that?
Move to approve the minutes with that amendment.
Motion to approve minutes with amendment stated. Thank you. Y'all know where we were headed next. Good job. So we have a motion to approve the minutes as stated with the recommended, changes there. All clear? Any discussion? If not, all those in favor, let me know by stating aye. Aye. Any opposed? Are in favor.
Was that just to amend the minutes or accept the minutes? Yeah.
That one was to amend and to accept. All right. Moving on, next item of the agenda, trustees cash, trial balance. Cash balance, sorry. I believe it is trial balance, right? Yeah, there we go. Just different words I had, same way. Any discussion there on the trial balance to look at? Any line items of interest?
One question, Mr. Chairman, the interest rates listed on very CD under the trial balance, are those still the rates we're getting?
Where's that?
My understanding. Decent interest
You ain't gonna
rates.
get that right now if you went in there and done it.
On larger amounts,
That's why I asked.
on larger amounts, there are some larger interest rates. So that there, you know, it may not be the same for putting 30,000 in, but it may be the same for putting 300,000 or a million. So there, on larger interest rates, on larger amounts, there are larger interest rates. Than that. Any discussion further on page 5, trial balance? If not, we're looking at page 6, you will notice your breakdowns, comparisons, January 24 to January 25, 24 being in gray, 25 being in the orangish color there, I guess you'd say. Mhm. You might notice the one thing that has been sort of creeping up on us is the property tax numbers not coming in near as strong as it has in the past couple of years. Can't answer the why right now on that, but hopefully we know by the end of this month, that is the deadline, for property tax, so your March one right there will be pretty interesting to look at. To remind you that we budget at 92%. Do it. I thought that's on process. So reminder, we budget at 92%. So we would at least like to see 100% number there on this case of the budgeted amounts. However, you will notice that your expenses also have been staying at a lower number right now, so that's always, we're having less coming in, but we're having less going out as well, so it's good. All are okay at this point. As you notice, we have no budget amendments for tonight as well, so that's quite unusual at this time of year, I believe. Moving to page 6, looking at 101. I apologize. I guess I would take a motion to take the trustees' cash balance. Favorable recommendation. Motion to accept the trustees' trial balance, cash balance, favor as written and stated. Had a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor, let me know by stating aye. Sorry. Now we'll move on to the next item, item B. You're looking at 101. You're looking first here at your revenues. We should be at 58%. Notice on the total, we are at a little over, we're at 52%. But you will notice, and I appreciate Ms. Amy doing that this time, there was some discussion about some grants that were stuck in those pieces that were not coming in. So without the grants, we're sitting at a little 65%, almost 64.8. That kind of clears up some of those missing lines. That was helpful. So revenues coming in at 64.8%. Are there any line items in the on pages 7, 8, or 9, top of 9 that anyone wants to discuss? Reminder, you should be coming in about 58.3%, 7th month. Might state as well. The local option sales tax, reminder that comes in 1 month late still. So it may look like 46.7, but it is still 1 month behind. Still runs 1 month behind, I say. Oh, I lied to you, 2 months behind, even better.
Always been doing.
That sounds good.
So they get the money, say they get the money in January, but the January money is actually December, so.
That's what a
like
month
until-
off is.
Yeah,
That makes sense. Didn't reflect to us until 2 months, but it's really a month.
yeah.
Okay, the payment is a month behind. It's a month. Collection is 2 months behind.
Accounting wise, I have to do too.
Any line items of discussion? Is that, would you have a line item? Okay. Gotcha. If no discussion there, moving to the expenditure side of the 101, pages 9 and 10, noticing expenditures are coming in below the 58.3%, also below that 64.8, coming in at 49.1% on expenditures. Line,
Um, on page 10, 58,400, other charges. 39.2%. I think expenses, yeah. I'm sure, or, well, you probably count some of that, but, do we anticipate maybe having to add to that?
I really don't. It's about that percentage every year. It's the fuel that's there, that hasn't been reimbursed by their departments yet. We did have a workers' comp audit come back to where we did not pay in enough premiums, and so the other funds have to reimburse that amount. It's just kind of a moving target, but it's fine.
Thank you. That's all I had.
Any other discussion? Your next page, 11, and, well, just 11 has your breakdown of the sheriff's department out of the 101 fund. I will state again, it is nice to see that our overtimes are not outrunning their amounts available there. Sheriff stated that he was almost full, I believe, in his department, so he's not having to use as much overtime. $111, moving on. Page 12. Revenues for 111 coming in at 61.4%. Of course, that is without, as you see there, because it really skews it heavily on that 19.6% with the grants that are not yet in. The multimodal grant being a major portion of that. Yet again, though, property tax is on a something we better keep our eyes on. Any discussions in the expenditure, in the revenue side? If not, moving through expenditures. Always good to see expenditures coming in less than the revenue side, and 49.3% is definitely under that 61.4%. Nice to have more coming in than you got going out. Again, page 13 represents the sheriff's department portion of the 111. That is a good breakdown to have. No discussion there. 116 solid waste. Revenues at 70.8%, while expenditures are 39.8%. Selling cardboard seems to be still scrap metal and cardboard doing decently well right now. I know Mr. Slee might can even add more of that in the future. There's been some discussion. We're trying to work out a plan for the school board or schools to have a cardboard dumpster. Currently, that cardboard just goes into a dumpster and out to a cost. If nothing into 116, looking at 118. Breakdowns of your 118 expenditures, ambulance fund are on the next two pages, pages 16 and 17. Staying quite strong there in staffing, it appears, because we're staying at no part-time, hardly at all being used. And overtime is manageable of where it should be for the budget. Any discussion in 116? No discussion there. Moving to 121, 121, 122. 121 is the, is passed through core civic dollars. Well, is an amount, 300,000 that comes into an account, but they pay it. It's not held out of this account. Just make sure when I say pass through dollars, yes, there is an amount they pay. 122, county drug. That's one of those that you never know when those things are going to happen, and as you see, but it's running fine. Revenues are, I know, only coming in at 15%, but expenditures are at 0. Moving to the 127, 127, 127, 128, your American Rescue funding. Remind you, those are not fund balances.
That money was moved.
It was just moved up.
Mhm.
Discussion there. 151 debt service. Any discussion in 151?
Line item 48,130 contributions, what? 9,450, that number is on there.
So at the end of the year, it's the QSCO money. We compare the interest that's been brought in plus the subsidy, and that's what we get from the schools.
Okay. Clarify that piece. That was the school's portion of interest that were only loans, if I understood that correctly.
Mhm.
So back through there, that would be end of year contribution,
So it shows the budget,
Yes.
hopefully.
typically. Okay.
Yeah, we should get that amount. I think we normally get it in March or April, and it'll be this year.
Any other discussion there? If not, 171 capital projects. This is a fund that is starting to see, I think this was just put into place maybe a year ago, it's maybe been 2 now, for looking at capital projects, which I definitely am appreciative that this committee, has looked at. Funds need to be generated in this direction. Debt service is being taken care of right now, but we've got to have a way to be paying those pieces in the future. There's got to be a revenue stream. Commissioner Dennis said it well, there are some projects that we're gonna hear one of those tonight. I hope we've got a little bit clearer numbers. I'm not saying exact numbers, but clearer numbers. Yeah, that's what I was afraid of, as we go forward, but, there has to be a revenue stream to pay for any project, it's plain and simple. But, right now, that does have the 300,000 per, year going in from the core civic, dollars. I think it was actually 4 years ago when this was put into place, because this was a 5th year payment and 1 year was spent, somewhere in general fund. 131 highway fund. Mention again, highway only, it has that 112,000 that's budgeted from the county. It grows a little bit each year, but just based off that percent of movement there, I think it was 100,000 that was originally placed in to pave. And we have to continue to do maintenance of effort. Never let that one forget you about maintenance of effort. Remind you regularly. 141. Looking at revenues. And that one concerning number is that property tax, it has about 2 weeks left on its payment time before those are.
This week,
We know when we expect to get it the latest. Dr. Fairfield on the expenses on the school side. You know, he typically presents.
Quarterly. That's correct. I probably let him off tonight, because he's been working up a budget to present, I think, in the next board meeting, so, we can look at that quarterly in April. March. That's the next quarter, right? Yeah, it's scheduled to be quarterly in March.
Of course, it's been mentioned about the property tax coming in a little slow. We give a, incentive to pay early. What is the fee for paying late, or do we have?
Look up that, I do not know.
there is an interest penalty to pay late, but I do not know the percentage.
I do not know. There comes a point when you need to, hopefully those payments get made, and it's not been an issue for a while. Property taxes come in strong for the last few years.
And it's gonna be a busy month.
I hope these next 2 weeks are really busy. I hope these next 2 weeks are really busy. Right now, that's any other thing in the 141 that we have discussion of. If not, I would entertain a motion from this committee to accept the financial summaries as presented. Motion to approve as presented. Second by Mr. Gregory, Bubba Gregory, Mr. Gregory, so, all those in favor, as stated, let it be known by stating aye. Aye. Any opposed? It is favorable. I think none in bold is a really good statement for budget amendments. We will certainly take Zach, Will said, I think I actually asked her, like, none? We'll take it.
Yeah, I'm going through the budget now and doing estimates, so who knows what next month will bring.
Right, that's always fun. Number 5, any other items, anything we'll spring to the table, anybody want to spring to the table today?
We looked at another tax sale or anything, or is anybody ever, we talk for property or for people is?
I talked to Shelley Bronner not too long ago. I don't think there's a whole lot. No, I mean, I'm sitting there recently. We've got a pretty high collection rate. And we filed the suit. And then of course, they'll get served, or some of them will lag behind to the very last moment, right before the tax sale. But she tries to set one up at once a year. We'll get a date. More often than not, a lot of them will come in. Of course, some of them require, having to research a little bit. We had one recently, just give you, for instance, I'm actually filing a motion because there's some excess funds that don't belong to us. And we actually located the owner after a tax sale. So it's been on the books for a while. So they'll get us with those funds. So it's a constant, keep the process as far as that goes. But we've got a pretty good, we haven't had a tax sale in quite a while, but we like to bundle them because a lot of times when you have a lot of them together, you attract more people and you get a little.
Any other questions? Any other items anyone would like to bring? If, yes, sir. Mr.
In the earlier, I guess, in the clarification on the impact fee discussion, Ms. Dennis, mentioned, other potential revenue sources that might need to be looked at in the future. And just wondered, do we need to start having some of those conversations? And if so, do they need to start here, or do they need to start elsewhere? And I mean, I don't really expect an answer on that. Just kind of want to get people thinking on maybe some of those pieces.
I mean, I think at this point, we have, some estimates and told to us. I don't know if they're gonna change. I heard 25 to 35 million last week. I think it's when we had that talk. So I don't imagine that's gonna go down. My own thought. I can just say this, 2 years ago, when we were sitting and looking at the property purchase across the street over there, we were looking at hopefully a 25 to $30 million on that one. In talks and discussions with some lenders, we had gotten down to roughly $2 million a year payment on a 4.3%, if I remember correct, interest rate over 30 or 40 years. Was that 40? 30. I was hoping it was 30. I couldn't remember. Over 30 years of roughly $2 million. I can't expect that's gonna change much. And there's 600,071, just to be clear. So are we talking revenue streams? I know Mr. Dennis and I had discussed some things back then. At that time, it was gonna take roughly 59 cents of property tax to cover that $2 million. Just to cover that payment, just so that we're all, these are real numbers that we're discussing. I think he and I have discussed those a few times. They are real numbers that we're discussing. What other revenue streams exist? I've heard people discuss the sales tax, the increase on the sales tax. I think we're at 9.25. We can move it to as high as 9.75. That's correct. That's it. Just gonna say exactly. It's gotta go all the way to referendum. That's correct. Which has to go to a vote. There's not an election for 2 years. That's on the docket, 1.5 years, I guess, truly, where we're at right now. So your revenue streams, there's the wheel tax has been discussed. Thank you. That's been discussed. It brought around. In my opinion, wheel tax is gonna end up on referendum and we're looking at 1.5 years out for that one unless we have a special election. I don't think we wanna have a special election to add those two on, just to be honest with you, be my personal opinion, that does not look great. So I think we sit here in a hard spot of what are the options? Mr. Taylor, maybe he's got some things he said he's looked at. I don't wanna bring out anything before you bring your pieces out. If you watch steering committee,
Not really.
that's what I'm saying. If you watch steering, he mentioned in steering that he hopes he's got another revenue stream that he's seen. I certainly hope so. Right now, though, all I can find in here is we're gonna need 59 to 60 cents, right at 59 some change cents of property tax increase to cover that $2 million loan. I don't know any other revenue streams that exist to our commission. We've talked about them. I think I'm not saying we bypassed them, but I don't know how we get there between now and 1.5 years. I'm just being honest. Not voting. We're gonna end up either way, if a wheel tax comes our way, going to a vote of referendum. So I think it's better to put it in people's hands from the beginning. Personal opinion. I don't know of any other streams of revenue. I would hope, I know there's discussion that the Core Civic is up for renegotiation this year. I don't imagine we're gonna get $1 million. That'd be great if we do, but I don't think we're gonna move that. I don't know. Maybe it's $2 million. Maybe they'll cover it. I don't know.
What are we looking at having that?
26.
26, okay.
This is the last year's payment of it. The negotiations were in 25, right?
Negotiations for in 25.
Would be in 2025 for next year's payment.
13 days.
That's what we had understood. That was our understanding.
We're working on putting numbers together to be ready.
The last payment is this summer, June, right? 2025.
I believe that's correct. Is that correct? You're saying?
July 1st will be the last.
So, just
We'll have a plan in place. Okay, I'm not worried about that. We just gotta get some data together, that's all, and we'll have those conversations. And there's a lot of moving pieces with that by virtue of the quote unquote political landscape as it comes to federal lawsuits and different administrations. So there's a lot that goes into that. We're taking in that account for that.
I think if we all hear where we're going right there in this case, that's an unknown, folks, is what I'm saying. No matter where that lands, that's an unknown. What we know is the $25 million project 2 years ago, 4.3% interest on 30-year note was gonna cost $2 million. I can promise you, I was sitting in an office discussing with a lender how that was gonna go. That's real numbers. Can't be any more honest than that. Where those are coming from? I'm not saying they're limited, but they're pretty limited.
Hopefully, Enbridge will get started pretty soon, maybe, or something.
Their completion is 27, so
26, I think.
It's
It's
26.
I think
26.
it's 27.
Percent?
I think so.
I thought that was November
I think
26.
completion would be 26, but we wouldn't see anything until
Right.
26.
So,
It's 27.
so we are looking at might there be things coming our way? I don't know. Maybe we can, but I'm presenting an honest piece. Any other discussion? Any public comment? If not, I like ways to talk. Consider yourself adjourned.